Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. Congratulations for all of you who are football fans and in particular of your national team. What a win yesterday. Incredible. A ton of nail-biting finishes in this year's Euro. I don't know how you still have your fingernails or your nerves, for that matter. It's just been incredible games, one after the other. So they're now in the final, which I am to believe is Sunday, 8 o'clock your time. So that will now lead us into what I need to schedule our live stream for Sunday. So I'm thinking if your game is 8 o'clock your time, that's noon for me. How about we go at 9 o'clock my time, which would put it at 5 o'clock your time. That would give, we'll go an hour, and that'll allow you enough time to prepare for the big final. So I'll send out a reminder, a schedule, stream, deal, whatever that shows up on your end. I'm not sure how that looks, but so 5 o'clock your time on Sunday we'll do a live stream. I'll be interviewing Cooper, so please after that, so keep sending your questions. I've gotten a bunch so far, so there'll be a link in this video to go to the community tab to where you can put the question, or you could just send me an email and title it like question for Cooper or something like that. We're going to read from the book. Okay, so we're going to read from the book. Okay. We're going to go ahead and just tell me when to stop. Stop. Okay. London's burning. What? Fire insurance plaques. Where? 9 and 11 Rupel Street, SE1 8SP, Goodwin's Court at WC2N 4LL, and 11 Princelet Street, E1 6QH. London entrepreneurs are not ones for letting a good disaster go to waste. After the Great Fire of London in 1666, the city's shrewd businessmen spotted an opportunity: fire insurance. Paid-up clients would affix a fire insurance plaque to the outside of their house, often displaying the company logo or emblem and their policy number. This distinguished their house for the insurance company's private firefighting team. If you did not have a plaque, hard luck. The Sun Fire Office, for example, was established in 1710. They would issue lead plaques displaying their sun emblem and often with the customer's policy number displayed below. In 1996, the company merged with Royal Insurance and became the Royal and Sun Alliance Insurance Group. RSA is thought to be the oldest documented insurance company in the world and the largest in Britain. But by the early 19th century, practices had changed, I'd hoped, but plaques were still sometimes given out as a marketing opportunity. I actually dig the plaque thing. I think that's pretty cool. There are very few left today, so you must have your wits about you to spot them. And here's a couple. Here's the Sun one here, and I believe this is one up here as well. Interesting. If you didn't have the plaque, they wouldn't on your home. They wouldn't have the plaque, or wouldn't have the need to put out your fire. That is so bizarre, but awesome. I'm happy to hear the practice has changed, but the oldest, thought of to be the oldest in the world, that is something we hear a lot on our channel. the oldest in the world. Just pretty remarkable time and time again. So just a reminder, on Sunday, the live stream will be 5 o'clock your time. So today, come sit with me on this big fake couch. Today we're going to look at making the UK Armed Forces world famous uniform. Making the UK Armed Forces world famous uniforms. They're definitely world famous, and I've been watching much of it over my journey here with all of you, and they are just remarkable. So, but it's one thing that I never really even thought, I don't want to say cared about, because I hadn't thought about it to even have a decision whether or not I cared. Does that make sense? I look at these uniforms and I go, wow, those are pretty awesome. But I don't really kind of go, I never really thought of going further on who makes those, you know. And we may have been told about this in an earlier video briefly. I'm not sure if we did. I don't remember. But so I'm excited to watch this. So I invite you to come sit with me. This is by Forces News. Awesome channel. So go support them. Links will be in the description, along with the link that'll take you to our community page on the channel. So come sit with me. Let's watch this. This is who makes those unis, right? Let's do it.
So most of these here are military buttons. So this one here is what we call an anodized, a brass anodized.
This is just a small sample of the button selection held at one of the oldest military tailors in the UK.
This here, we've got them in 30 line and 40 line. Line's actually a measurement, and we use line counters just so that we can measure the size of the buttons.
Samuel Brothers gets through tens of thousands of them every year, and the attention to detail that goes into every garment is evident at their factory in Harwich.
Donna, this is the mess dress for the Queen's Own Yeomanry. It is absolutely beautiful, but where does this rank in difficulty?
This is one of the more intricate garments that we make. As you'll see, the pockets are rather fancy. Everything has to be measured and boxed. You know, everything's done in boxes.
So all of this is done by hand?
Everything's done by hand on one length of thread, braid, one length of braid.
That's crazy. That's awesome looking. And then knowing that it's all done by hand with and just one length of braid to do all that stitch work is wild. Now I'm curious, do they use like sewing machines? You saw in the previous clip here in the video, you saw sewing machines in the background there. So I'm curious if this sort of thing is done either like hand sewn or is it used with the help of a machine. Those buttons are incredible, and there's so many different buttons for each uniform. Having to know, I'm sure they have actual documentation that tells you what buttons for which, but just the amount of uniforms that there is in everything that surrounds military and royalty and all that stuff. It's just crazy. I couldn't tell you if we had that. We, being the United States, had that many different uniforms. Again, never put too much thought into it. But just, yeah, interesting.
How long does it take, I mean, just to do that bit?
That probably takes about an hour to do that one, that pocket.
Just the pocket.
And the whole uniform, how long does this take?
The whole uniform takes about 12 hours for the jacket and the waistcoat, but the waistcoat is the more time-consuming.
The team of 15 highly skilled staff make around 2,000 uniforms a year, and that takes thousands of meters of material.
Here, I mean, you've got variety of cloth from overcoating. You'll recognise these in winter order for the household division. It's a methyl grey coating. Here you've got some doeskin, which we make mess dress. Different colours for different regiments, but this is all British cloth. And I'm really proud to support UK mills.
What sort of cost?
That's awesome. How many times, it's so good to hear. Now, it should be obvious, right? It should be, yes, of course. our British military uniforms are made with British-made materials. That should just be a given. Hopefully, I cannot verify, or maybe I could. I'm sure I could get on Google that the U.S. uniforms are made in the United States with U.S.-made materials. I'd like to think so, but how many times have we come across something, not just in uniforms, but something that would be quintessentially British, that you end up lifting the tab or the label or see it somewhere where it says made in China or made in Singapore or Taiwan or something like that. I see it here in the States all the time, like especially like with your traditional British company. You know, they've moved their manufacturing to a place where it's not as expensive to make. I hate that. Absolutely hate it. So this makes me feel really good knowing that. And then of course, this is obvious. This is how it should be. But it's just nice to hear, right?
What else are we looking at for material like this?
I mean, anything from sort of £27 a metre up to 90. I mean, some of our cloths, the cashmere's, it can be £400 a metre. So if you need 4.5 metres for a coat, that's an awful lot of money. So you can understand why guys are a little bit nervous when they start cutting. So there's a saying, measure twice, cut once.
Cut once.
I first visited Samuel Brothers back in 2017, but I wanted to return to see if any of the traditional techniques of tailoring they used had changed.
These patterns are now part of history because when I was here 7 years ago, everything that Samuel Brothers does was cut from these and all done by hand. But 4 years ago, a new piece of kit meant these are consigned to the history books.
Samuel Brothers invested in a pattern cutter machine, and that has reduced the time it takes them to cut a garment from 40 to 6 minutes.
I think as a business that's approaching 200 years old, we need to be adaptable and we need to progress. So we've bought and invested in some equipment that will secure some of our IP and also, we're utilising the next generation of makers in becoming, more technologically advanced, which is all exciting. For people like me, perhaps I'm a little bit behind the curve, but we have to move, we have to adapt. If we're to continue and survive, really, we need to.
He's right. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but yeah, I mean, you have to. You can't keep doing it by hand. The demand for the uniforms is probably too great to sit there and have to do them all with a sewing machine and physically cutting them. This machine just racks them out like crazy. So I can see why those other ones, the hand cut ones, are now going away, and you have this precision cutter. Just awesome. Glad to hear it.
To adapt. If we're to continue and survive, really, we need to keep up.
From cutting most probably 4 garments by hand a day, from start to finish, we're able to cut about 25 garments in a day.
Samuel Brothers might have taken a step forward with the new machine, but there is still a real sense of history here. Where else do you get such a choice in gold braiding, which has been a feature of military uniforms for centuries?
They've got everything here, from Royal Navy cuff curls. Here's some thistle braid, and this one here is an oak leaf. This wide one would go down the side of a trouser, but you always have to make sure that it's the right way up. Similarly here, this beautiful one is a rose, and that would go down the edge of a jacket.
And that gold braiding could be seen in abundance on the troops heading into London for the King's coronation. Many of these uniforms would have come through the Samuel Brothers factory. Claire Sadler, Forces News, Harwich.
So I just now noticed that it looked like we had closed circuit the wording. Sorry about that. You look at this, what we're looking at here, as an outsider looking, I'm marveled by all just the wonderful fantastic uniforms, and again, just never really put too much thought into how they were made or where they were made and all that business. I mean, you figure each person has to be tailored for these uniforms. I assume they can make somewhat of a standard size, and then they just then tailor it from there. But it's just remarkable of all the different ones that there is. I don't think the U.S. has as many. At least I don't notice it. If they do, obviously I don't think they do. I just notice just the classics, like the Marines and Navy and Army and Air Force have, their traditional ones, and then maybe there's just certain accessories they use to differentiate within those branches. But yeah, wild, because not only you have military, you have like the royal aspect of it as well. So crazy how much they're producing, and all British made, which is awesome. I hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks a lot for coming. This was very interesting. Very interesting. Hopefully you learned something today. I know I did. Samuel Brothers in Harwich. Reminder, 5 o'clock your time, we're going to do the live stream. I'm going to interview Cooper probably after that, before the game, because he's going to want to be watching the game. And then, yeah, hopefully by the mid of next week, we can have the video come up on our channel. But get your questions in. You have until Sunday to get them in. There'll be a link to this video and to the Forces News channel, along with the link to our community tab. It'll allow you to put the question in, or you could just send me an email. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. Yeah.